first of all, we want to make sure we tell Gabe we're thinking about him, he's in our thoughts and our prayers. And, speedy recovery, getting back on our team, getting back in Blacksburg. We're all thinking about you, Gabe. So after that, now we can questions.
Speaking of Gabe, I mean, as a father yourself, could you imagine, having your kid playing, then all of a sudden you're in the hospital with, just a freak?
Yeah, I can. My daughter got hurt her freshman year. I mean, so injuries are part of the game, and he'll bounce back from it. He's got a strong support system at home and here, as far as coaches, players, teammates, brother Dave. There's a lot of people that are going to be involved with him, and can't wait to get him back here.
I guess on a happier note, with APR being a semifinalist in those two categories, what's that mean for him and just kind of what he's done this year?
A semifinal, how many does that mean?
I think it's like 15.
One of 15.
Like
He's the best defensive player in the country. I don't have no qualm saying that. What he's done this past year, what he did last year, and just doubled down on it this year. The improvements he's made. I don't know how many other guys in the country are averaging a sack a game for the last 2 years, and he's very deserving of that award, whichever one he gets or both of them.
I forget. Were you a semifinalist for either
No.
of those awards back then?
Hell
You were an
no.
All-American though. Come on.
Nah, third team. That was Cornell. That was a good players.
What have you really seen in his game take off this year? And I know you challenged him in the offseason. How has he become just a complete player?
Just everything. He's been more consistent in everything. He's more vocal. He has more grasp of the defense, more so than he ever did last year. He's helped making checks. He's talking. He's leading. He's doing a much better job playing through bumps and bruises. I wouldn't say hurt, but there's things that when you're a D lineman, you play so many snaps, things aren't always going to feel right. And there was times I thought he could have pushed through that, and he's done that this year. And the fact that he's been very consistent, no matter if he's missed a practice or if he's practiced has not felt great, he's gone out there and competed on every Saturday, and it's been a factor. I mean, even things that aren't in the stat book. You look at Syracuse game, the throwback, he breaks that up. What other player in the country would have had enough awareness to find that, then get through 5 offensive linemen to bat that down? He blocks a field goal. I mean, the kid's done everything we've needed him to do this year.
You mentioned Cornell Brown, Corey Moore, Bruce Smith. I know Bruce and Corey have been on this program the last 2 years. Have you seen anything about how he's interacted with them? Has he taken anything that they've said and taken it onto the field?
Well, I don't know how much. I know he's talked to Corey a little bit. The main one was probably Bruce. Him and Bruce talk on a regular basis, and me and Bruce have spoken. And how can you not listen to the guy who's the NFL sack leader? And I'm sure he takes everything Bruce tells him to heart. And he's gone out there and he's been what we thought he was going to be. And we took him out of the portal. I got to remind people, he had 4 career sacks in 3 years at Florida. Then he comes here and he steps on the stage and does everything we asked him to do, and he ends up being the player we thought he was going to be. So,
you say that background that he has there. When he goes in the portal, are you kind of giddy about that? You're like, I know what this guy has the potential to do. What was your reaction when you saw he was in there?
Oh, let's go. I think the portal is. We're always going to go to the portal for needs. We're not going to be built in the portal with Coach Pry, but when it's an in-state kid that we know that we think can be a player, it just means a little bit more playing in your home state. And look at KG, what KG's done this year. When he went in the portal, we're like, yes, we got to get that guy back home. And some of these recruits are kind of older, or getting in the portal for these other teams that are Virginia guys. If they get in the portal, then we're going to be on them.
One else on the defensive line who's, I want to ask about Aeneas. Next week goes back to Duke.
Yeah.
I think he has one of the highest win rates in terms of defensive tackles in the country. You mentioned before he's been everything you guys expected him to be.
Yes, he has.
What has allowed him to stand out in your eyes?
Just the way he works. The work ethic. He's got a little bit of chip on his shoulder because he was an under-recruited short guy coming out of high school, and he practices with the chip on his shoulder, and he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and not to mention the guy's just so intelligent. His football IQ is off the charts, and he's proven it every Saturday.
How much has he helped elevate the room? APR has done that. It seems like Aeneas has done that from.
Well, I think Obviously, Fub, Aeneas, and APR are two really good players, and I think that's helped both of them having each other in the room to challenge, and they talk about who's going to make the most plays, and it's always a competition in that room. We haven't started the same four all year because of different guys making plays. There's not that anything that anybody else has done wrong. Just other guys have played well, and if you deserve to start, then that's how we look at it. And those guys have bounced back and forth with each other, competing all season.
When you have conversations with NFL scouts, as I imagine you will in the upcoming months here, besides just saying turn on the film for APR, what do you say to those guys to hammer home the kind of player he is?
I don't see any negatives. They're going to find negatives because that's what they do. That's their job. Even if they love somebody, they're going to find a way to break them down a little bit or try to hide the fact how much they love them. It's all a chess game up there, which I don't understand and I don't really care about. But the guy, any weakness he had, he's worked on. He can play in any scheme. He can be a D-end. He can be an outside linebacker in a 3-4. There's no way I would pass on him in the draft.
He's shown that he's sort of like a stand-up rusher where he moves inside sometimes. Is that just another skill set he shows up?
Yeah, I mean, we like to move him around, make him hard to find, play a little Where's Waldo, and people are going to scheme for him, and so we try to make it hard for them to find and just not line him up in the same place where the offensive line knows where he's going to be, always in the boundary, and he does a nice job rushing interior, rushing D lineman, I mean, so that's what I'm saying. He's so skilled in pass rush from any position, in the middle or on the edge. To me, I think he's a no-brainer.
You guys, Coach probably brought up when you guys recruited him, you needed someone who could win one-on-one battles. Didn't have it in 22. The way he's been able to win one-on-one battles, how have you seen that translate to how Cole is winning one-on-one battles? Keyshawn, those guys, because they seem like they're now elevating their games as well.
Well, those guys still got to win a little bit more one-on-one battles, but they're getting the opportunity because of a guy like APR, because of a guy like Aeneas, and that's what you need. If you have one elite guy, let alone two, that's going to make it a lot harder for the offensive line, and now all of a sudden that elevates maybe your second-tier D lineman into being a little bit better players.